Welcome back to the channel, boys. How we doing? How we feeling? My gamers, my brothers, my fellow individuals. The time has finally come where we actually get to make an in-depth video about Ruby, her teams, her builds, matrices, other characters that work really good with her, characters that don't work so well with her, and most importantly, how she actually feels and her rotations, because that's what really matters in a game like this, is the characters that pair with other characters and their rotations together. So if you don't know anything about Ruby, she is the new SSR character of the Flame variety. She's very good. She does a lot of damage. She's really good at 0 stars. Her stars make her even better. She is completely essential to flame comps for now and in the future. She feels great to play. She's really cute. She's very fun. I want to show you all that I can about her. Let's get started. Here she is, boys. Small, cute, little Ruby with her bunny, her weapon Sparky. First, let's just look at her, bro. She's a cute little laser beam menace with a really good skin, in my opinion. So as I said, this video is going to be about Ruby's rotations with her teams, the best people to play with her, some common misconceptions that I've seen when it comes to Ruby, the best matrices for her, and kind of her pocket or her general use case, what her field is. So just to start out, I got really lucky with Ruby. I actually got a star on her right out the gate. Before I hit 80 pulls, I had Ruby and I got her 1 star. So that was really lucky of me. So Ruby has flame resonance, which Cobalt B had flame resonance right before Ruby. And some of us thought that because Cobalt B had the flame resonance, Ruby was not going to. That's not the case, thank God. Because if only Cobalt B had flame resonance, it probably would have sunk Fire team into the depths, bro, deep into the ground. Ruby is a really good damage unit. Ruby has good shatter. Ruby has decent charge. In my opinion, it's not that great. Some people are saying that you can run her as the main charge unit. From my testing and from what I've found, I don't enjoy playing her that way. And I'll show you exactly what I mean whenever we get into the teams. Ruby has crit stat. Ruby has a lot of nuances to her kit that a lot of people aren't talking about or understanding whenever they're playing her, which is why I'm going to make a long video that kind of gets deep into how she works, because she's a very simple unit. The way you use her is pretty simple, but understanding how to use her and when you should be using her is pretty key to doing a lot of damage with her. And I feel like she can feel a little bit underwhelming if you're not using her correctly. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So as far as matrices go, one misunderstanding that I've seen quite a bit is that Ruby's matrices are not actually good on her as much. I don't think that's true at all, especially with A1, because her 2-piece matrice is reliant on the fact that you're using your skill. Some people are suggesting you use her 2-piece with somebody like Cobalt. This is not the case at all. The reason being is because Cobalt's skill has a 60-second cooldown. Ideally, the kind of cooldown you're looking for is between 25 and 30 seconds. 60 seconds is way too long. I would not put Ruby's pieces on Cobalt. Maybe if you had her A6, all 6 of her stars, maybe. But even then, I would rather put Ruby's pieces on her or Huma. To be honest, Huma might be a perfect candidate for Ruby pieces. A perfect candidate. But you guys have seen how much I adore Huma. She's a perfect candidate for everything, in my opinion. So what I'm running on Ruby right now is actually the 2-piece Shiro set. The reason being is because I'm increasing damage and shatter to targets who have more than 50% HP. I've tried running 2-piece Crow. For me, it doesn't feel as good as 2-piece Shiro set. I like it a little bit better. I'm also working towards getting maybe a 2-piece King set on here. There's a lot that Ruby can work with. If you don't have a lot of gold matrices, the Sobek pieces are also pretty good on her. Sobek is good on a lot of people. If you do have golden matrices, Samir's pieces, Ruby's pieces, Shiro's pieces, Crow's pieces, all of those are going to be good at doing very good damage on her. Personally, I'm going to work towards probably King, Shiro pieces. Those are the ones I'm going to be getting. I'm not really a whale. I'm more of a free-to-play person. I haven't spent money on pulls in this game. I have some Crow pieces that I've tested out. I'd rather run those on King for his off-field damage. I'm running Shiro pieces on Ruby. If I had Samir pieces, I'd probably run those. And obviously, if I was pulling for her own matrices, then I would run those as well. But I'm not going to. As far as teams, there's actually a lot of stuff that you can do with Ruby that's pretty cool. A lot of people that you can pair her up with that maybe you wouldn't think to pair her up with. So my main team right now is going to be Ruby in the 3rd slot. Reason being is because I want to get through my rotations with my other characters and then land on Ruby and keep her on field for a while and then rotate back through my cycle, right? So my number 1 who I'm starting on the field with is Huma. I'm going to start with Huma. I'm going to build up both the stacks of my charge. I'm gonna discharge with King. After King discharges, that little smidgen left, that goes to Ruby. Ruby hits her discharge right after, and then Ruby stays on field for a couple cycles until Huma's ready again. Another thing you can do, if you're struggling to stay alive, if you're dying, if you need a healer, Nemesis, Coco, Zero, any of those guys are gonna be pretty good healers for the team. Anybody who heals is gonna be a good fit, to be honest. The best fit being Nemesis, because Nemesis does more damage than Zero, even though Zero's a fire unit. If you have a 5-star Zero, he gets a healing orb, which is really nice. That'll make him a lot more viable, not because of his damage, but because he does enough damage and his healing is good enough to give him a good spot on the team if you need a healer. If you have Nemesis, especially if you have her 1st star, Nemesis is going to be your best healing option, in my opinion. She does a lot of damage. She has CC. She has the totem that does damage off field. Any off-field damage that you can give Ruby is going to be very good. Ruby is the first unit in the game that is kind of a hyper carry, where you want to be on field with her as much as possible, and you want your other supports to either be buffing her damage, healing, or giving her damage with stars. So for example, if you don't want a healer and you're looking for a 3rd slot, maybe you have somebody like Claudia. So Claudia's 1st star says, after hitting a target with a skill or discharge skill, grants 1 stack of the following buff, increased damage dealt by 8% for 25 seconds, stacking up to 3 times for a maximum of 1 stack per skill use. What this means is you can run Claudia, get these damage stacks, switch, and then have a damage boost for Ruby in the back pocket at all times. Another unit that I would suggest that, I don't know, I think I like even more than Claudia for this team is going to be Tsubasa. If you have Tsubasa at 1 star, it says grant a stack of sharp arrow each time the arrow fired by a dodge attack hits a target. Each stack increases damage by 5% for 15 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. Both Claudia and Tsubasa are going to be giving Ruby essentially free damage buffs, and they don't have to stay on field to do it. They have to do a little bit of work, and then you switch over to Ruby and you pass over that damage to her, which big, in my opinion, huge. Now, the reason that Huma is so essential for this fire team, in my opinion, is because Huma's charge is off the rails. Whenever Huma is in axe form, 1, she's shattering like crazy, which is nice because hitting flesh targets instead of shield targets with Ruby feels better. And 2, because Huma is getting both King's and Ruby's discharge ready very rapidly and then cycling back through. That way of aggressive play, 1, in her axe mode is doing a lot of damage. 2 is giving you a ton of discharge on King and Ruby. And 3 is just a good feeling rotation that makes sense. You play rotations in this game and sometimes characters can feel awkward together. These 3 feel very, very good together, especially when you learn how they should be interacting with each other on the field. So if you don't know much about Ruby or how she plays, she is, like I said, and as much as possible, an on-field auto attacker. She is going to be doing 5 normal attacks, comboing it with her bunny and comboing it with her skill. I'll tell you exactly what all that means and how all of that stitches together and how it actually works in combat. Ruby's really good. Ruby covers multiple roles. Ruby has CC. She's a buffer because she has flame resonance. She's a DPS character. She's a self-sustaining character. The reason I say self-sustaining is because she can shove enemies away from her post haste, brother. She can trick AI targeting. She can do all sorts of stuff to take the focus off of her so that she can continually do damage, which is nice because ideally on my team, there is no healer. I'm pumping out as much damage as possible. I'm not gonna get into all the numbers just because I want you to understand how it works practically. There are plenty of numbers videos out there and spreadsheets that do the math. I can even link some of them in the description if you guys would like. But to be honest, for my type of content, what I like to do is focus on a niche or something that I feel like is being very much missed with either a character or an idea in the game. I'm not trying to make the same video that 100 people have already made about Ruby. I play Flame Team, I main Flame Team, so I know very much how it works practically and how you should be using these characters. It took me a few days for Ruby to kind of click and for it to actually make sense how her damage works. Even though she's just a normal attacker, like this is what you do with her, right? She's a normal attacker. You're just gonna do your normal 5 attacks, and that's gonna be some of the best damage you can get from her besides her discharge, right? But there's also things that you need to be doing whenever you're doing those normal attacks. So for Ruby, she really has to have her dodge attack out. What she does with her dodge attack is she throws Dolly out, which is the little bunny that she carries with her. What Dolly does is it sucks all of the enemies together. It does damage over time. It taunts the enemies. It also combos with your skill. All right, boys, you know what time it is. We're gonna get into Bygone. I'm going to show you exactly how her teams and rotations work together. I'm gonna show you how you should be playing her. I'm gonna show you how much damage and carnage that she actually causes. So if you have a charge character on the Ruby team, you're going to always want to start on your charge character so you can build up the discharge on your secondary off-field DPS, whether it be Claudia or King or Tsubasa or even Cobalt B. If you have high investment Cobalt B is very good for this team, but she does need to have a lot of stars. I mean that as sincerely as possible. She needs those stars because she causes burn, and then she has to ignite those burns. She's not going to be igniting those burns and doing a ton of damage without those stars, okay? Then you're always going to start on Huma and get to Ruby last. If you don't have a charge unit like Huma, you're going to start on Ruby and you're going to use Ruby as your charge unit. The charge is going to be a lot lower. It's going to be a lot slower, but you're still obviously going to be doing a lot of damage because Ruby's going to be on field, right? So let me start this up with Huma. I'm going to show you guys exactly how the rotation works. It looks like it's fleshy enemies, which is good. A dog's lady. So I'm going to get my 3 stacks with Huma, which you don't always have to do on this team because you do want to be fast, but I am trying to get discharges and do a lot of damage if I can here. All right, so if you look in the bottom right, both of my discharges are ready. Now I can use King, bop. I can use his skill, bop. And now my 3rd discharge is ready. I'm gonna use Ruby. I'm going to dodge, group all the enemies with her dodge. I'm going to use her skill because her dodge is on the field. That's going to combo, and my auto attacks are now going to do a lot more damage. What I can also do is I can dodge attack continually to keep the enemies away from me. After I do 2 to 3 rotations where I see that big laser beam, that's Ruby's 5th attack. After I see that big laser beam, I'm going back to Huma and I'm going to start building up my charge again. I'm going to shatter enemies as much as possible because, like I said, Ruby feels good to hit on unshattered enemies. And then I'm going to go back through my rotation with King with his skill. And my discharge for Ruby's already ready again. What I'm also going to be trying to do is targeting the enemy with the most health. Ruby does not do the best job at hitting a bunch of people. She groups them really nice, but I've found a lot of the time that she has trouble actually hitting all of them at the same time, which can be kind of annoying. So what you want to keep in mind is you want to hit the enemy with the most health so that you can actually, you know, progress your Bygone floor. And as you can see, the team goes hard. It pumps out a lot of damage. Something that you can also do to CC with Ruby, which a lot of people I feel like are kind of overrating because it doesn't do a lot of damage and the CC is not that long, especially compared to the taunt and the suction of Dolly, is you can do normal attack, and then you can hold it down and it'll make that little prism. So if you watch closely, normal attacks, it'll make that prism right there. That prism will come down and actually trap an enemy in it for 3 seconds. It looks kind of cool, but whenever I've been playing this team on Bygone, I've pushed about 15 floors with this team. I don't find a lot of usefulness in it. I find that it's actually just kind of a waste of a rotation. Plus, look how cute she is, bro. Look at that little swimsuit Ruby. I mean, I know you guys only look at Lynn because Lynn is like super hot, but look how cute Ruby is in the background with Sparky. She's freaking all laced up with her big bunny hat, bro. You've got to be freaking insane to not think Ruby is just the cutest. All right, boys, that's Ruby. She's super fun to play. She has a great place in the meta. She actually has a role in this game. One thing I did not talk about is, or I did talk about it a little bit, but I didn't talk about it in depth, is Ruby with Cobalt B. Ruby and Cobalt B are perfectly viable together. They're fine. The problem with Cobalt B is they changed Cobalt B from a DPS character into a character who has Fire Resonance and Shatter. The reason that's significant is because the Fire team, whenever she came out, needed Fire Resonance, obviously, but they also really needed a DPS. Huma's a Shatter and a Charger, but she's more of a sub DPS. King is absolutely not a DPS. He's a great off-field unit. He's a great Shatterer. He does a lot of damage with his skill and his discharge, but all that stuff is off-field, which was just begging for a main DPS. Cobalt B could have helped fulfill that role a lot more, but Cobalt B has no role in this game. Cobalt B is the epitome of a wasted character because they turned her from a DPS unit into a Shatter unit. I don't think the balancing in this game right now has been the smartest. I understand what they're trying to do with the balance is to make more units viable for longer. But the thing about Cobalt B is she's not a meta unit on CN. She never was. So making her even worse on global and then making her a Shatter character, which if you think about what the flame comp is, Huma is one of the best Shatter characters in the game. King is one of the best Shatter characters in the game. Why in the world does the flame team need another Shatter character? Why in the world does the flame team need a flame resonance from Cobalt B and then right after Cobalt B another flame resonance with Ruby? It doesn't make any sense. The balancing there is literally negative brain. If you have high investment Cobalt B, she's really good. She does a lot of damage. Her skill cooldown gets reduced a lot, which is the main reason I think that Cobalt B is just not very good. Her scaling is actually really good, but because her skill cooldown is so high, her DPS plummets, bro. It falls into the earth. It digs a crater, it hides itself in there, and it's never to be seen again until you spend money and get stars on her. So I'm really glad Ruby comes through with the damage, with the resonance, with the CC, the utility. If you're a flame main, you have to get Ruby, bro. You have to. Lynn is important, but I see people comparing, like, should you get Ruby or should you get Lynn? In my opinion, both Lynn and Ruby are absolutely essential for Flame Team. Absolutely essential. Get Ruby at 0. Be okay with her if you're free to play. If you get her first star, wonderful. If you don't, literally don't worry about it. She's really, really, really good at 0 stars. Save everything for Lynn. If you are free to play, do not pull for Ruby's matrices. Do not pull for extra copies of her. Don't, unless you're gonna start paying money, don't start paying for Ruby until you are sure that you have enough pulls to secure Lynn, because Lynn is vital to every team in the game. Lynn is the most busted unit in the game, bar none, because of the way she works. She's a completely separate element that absorbs your element, puts it on whoever your main damage dealer is, and just buffs them out of their minds. I do think Lynn is going to be nerfed, but because of what she does, because of the type of character she is, even if she's nerfed, she's still going to be essential for your team. All right, boys, that's Ruby and a little bit about Cobalt B. I think Ruby's an incredible character. I'm really glad Ruby is as good as she is after Cobalt B came out, because like I said, Cobalt B is not in the best place. Thank you guys for listening to my opinions on Huma in the last video. That video went from a couple hundred views in the first couple days to now it's sitting at like 7,500 or 8,000, somewhere around there. And in like 5 days, it just went from no attention to full attention from everyone. I'm glad you guys learned a lot about Huma. I hope you also learned a lot about Ruby. Ruby has those nuances that I think are very important. I've been watching other guides on YouTube, and I feel like people are just skipping some of the important things about Ruby because they're reading her stats and they're not actually playing her and finding out what practically works. I think numbers are very important in games like this, but numbers never tell the full story. You have to actually use the unit, use them with multiple characters, see which teams they're good on, see which matrices work well with them. But yeah, boys, I hope you learned a lot about Ruby. I hope you enjoy her if you got her. If you're not pulling for her and you're a flame main, then I promise you're making a mistake. Ruby's incredible. That's gonna be the video, brothers, friends, individuals. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, especially if you learn stuff. Bro, you better like this video. That's just a freaking click. I know sometimes I get through videos and I'm like, oh damn, yeah, I kind of forgot to like it. Bro, hit the like button. You know what it is. If you want to see more videos from me, I have a Huma video out right now that covers how Flame Team works. It's a good video. It's a really good video. I'm glad it got traction. I believe this is also a really good video. Share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel to see more. If you need more than moral squishy boy content, we stream on Twitch at least once a week. So I'll put all of that stuff down in the description below. We have fun on Twitch, bro. We don't play Tower Fantasy on Twitch. We stream like Ready or Not, Apex. We've been streaming Persona 5. We stream all sorts of games on Twitch. My Twitch is for the variety individuals. Anyways, boys, thanks for watching the whole video if you're still here. And if you're not, I hope you learned something before you left. All right, like, sub, hit it, get it, with it. We good? We cool? All right, cool. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.